Oh my
Uh,
gosh, we are here. We are live. This is an exciting time for everybody. All right, I am Riot Zero Nana, aka Julian or Jules JP on Twitter. Yeah, we are so excited to bring back the balance patch updates. And I will go ahead and kick it off. We have two designers who actually worked on the balance update who are going to give us some behind the scenes updates on why we made the decisions and maybe kind of peel away the curtains of the process behind updating your favorite cards. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it over to Plink, aka Dave Smith. Go ahead, take it away.
it's true.
Give us 1 second. Wait, Plink, hold on.
Wait,
Hold on, Plink.
wait. Oh no. Can he not hear us?
No, I'm pretty sure. Hey, chat. Everyone says muted. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, chat?
Yeah, can you hear us?
We need to cook, chat. Come on. Help us out.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, give me 1 second, Blink. Do. Let's go ahead and do Brian's intro. Here we go.
Oh boy. Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Brian Koplik. I've been a designer on lore for about 2 years now. Oh,
Oh
no.
no, spoilers.
You just
Oh.
fully deleted my site. That's okay. I know who I am. Yeah, I studied game design at UC Santa Cruz. Started in the industry as an engineer. I'm not a very competitive player. I play a lot of Path and Commander, but I'll take some LP sometime. And yeah, I like making memes on Twitter. I love janky combos, puzzle games, and I love you all. Seriously, you are one of the best game communities out there. So keep being yourself. Do I need to vamp? I'll keep vamping.
Yeah, Brian, keep it going.
Oh, of course, yeah. So I helped develop a little bit of Alawi, a little more of Kale, and then I'm actually the lead for the next two expansions. So you're going to see a lot of me coming up soon, and I'm so excited to show you all the stuff I've been working on. Seriously, it's been a long development path, so I cannot wait to get that out to you. I've now lost audio from you.
No, it's okay. They
Okay,
can still
it's
hear
all
you.
good.
Now, Plink, go ahead. Let me see what you're cooking. Can you try to say something for us? Give me one moment. I'll translate for you. Plink says he can stare and make funny faces.
I do love chat just being like, let him cook.
Okay, okay. They should be able to hear you now. Do you want to go ahead and take it away, Plink?
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of this y'all need to know besides what's printed on the page. So, yeah, the main things I've worked on is for champs are Jay, Sakchan, Gwen, Kane, and Varus. I've also put some time in with Brian on some of the stuff that he's coming out with, so that's going to be exciting. Got some stuff coming in the future. So, I think that's good enough. We can probably get rolling on the patch.
Yes, let's do it. And thank you everyone for bearing with us. I do want to give a shout out. This is a super cool streaming room at Riot HQ. It is my first time in the streaming room, so we're still
Mine too.
ironing out the kinks.
Yeah.
Thanks guys for bearing with us. Okay, cool. Flink, do you want to talk about the patch goals that we have in mind for this magnificent 4.1?
Yeah, so this is a little of everything. Because we have the hotfix, we were able to hit some of the most outlying targets, and we we have like a light nerf package. We have a bunch of incremental buffs that we think you'll find interesting. We also have two new cards, and there's also going to be some. We also have some Path Champions updates, which might excite some of you. So it's a little bit of everything. And I think that's basically it.
Okay, people are super hype about the new cards. Brian, was there like what was the idea behind throwing in these new cards? Was that
Yeah, so we had an opportunity because we actually had some extra art. So it's a bit of a different experience when you're given art and kind of make the card to fit it. But it's still pretty fun. And the target, because it was like a small card drop. We wanted these cards to be impactful, so we aimed for stuff that should either like fit in a few more decks than just like one or two, or you could maybe build a whole like deck plan around. So
okay? That's exciting.
yeah,
This is pretty cool.
we're hoping we hit it.
Yeah, let's get into it. All right, let's go ahead and first let's talk about the nerfs. And this is the first nerf. Blink, do you want to give us a little more context about why we're taking away one power from Cat?
Because she's too strong, Julian.
It's true.
Basically, Cat's been like one of the top performing champs for a while. What did you say, Bryce?
For the last, she's been the number one played champ for the last 3 months. So
yeah, it's multiple very strong decks. I mean, I love Katarina, but we needed to find out what the sort of looking for the heart of what the good experience is. So here we kept the zero cost Blade's Edge, like which would have been another path to nerf, leave her power, hit that, and we kept her ability to be a rally on a stick, so we didn't adjust anything there. But we want to basically take a little bit of the light pressure off. So that's the idea. We played with this a lot. I'm confident she still shows up in decks because she's very strong, but hopefully this will take a little wind out of the sails.
I there was a video Sunny just did a video kind of detailing
yeah.
the journey of Katarina from Katarina's irrelevance to domination. So when I saw that this was coming, I was like, oh gosh, I wonder how it's gonna shake out once it's actually
yeah,
live.
same.
I mean, it's a funny thing because I think this is one of the most worked on cards in the history of lore. We tried so many ways to get her relevant originally, and none of them were really all that good. Some of them were stronger than her current form, in fact. And so when we settled on the last one, we thought, well, okay, this is all we can do. You know, this is it. It turned out to be enough and more than enough. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's I think this next one is gonna be
I'm
very
so excited.
popular.
I'm so excited.
Let's just get into it. Okay, go ahead. This is Quietus.
Yeah. So Quietus's change is closer to a bit of a rework. So instead of adjusting the power cap, you now kills units with a total stats lower than the amount. The intent of the card was never to just like it was always to kill cheap units and not to hate Galio and Braum and Alawi out of the meta. So this gets it a lot closer to that design intent. So I'm really excited to see what happens to the meta after this.
Oh my gosh, reading chat. Chat is going
I
pretty
saw
quick
it
right now.
starting to speed by.
By the way, we tested this at 5. 5 was almost occasionally too good.
Yeah.
One thing you might not notice right away is if the unit has taken damage, it will start maybe over the cap, but potentially fall under it. So there is some room for tactical play with it now. But overall, we think of this as a nerf in general, and kind of taking the lid off certain other cards that it was holding down.
Mm-hmm. It did feel really good in playtesting, though. I could see this maybe being a pattern we revisit if we like it.
There's some Vagar mains who are very, very happy about this. I think my favorite comment from chat is Bamjumi said well cooked. Well cooked, you guys.
Yeah.
This
All
is
right. We're only on the second change.
Yeah, we're only on the second change. Let's keep it rolling. Okay. Plink, do you want to walk us through what is changing about Kane's origin?
Okay, so basically, instead of 3 cultists, it's 4 cultists. So it's harder to bring Kane out of the deck. Kane was a kind of interesting card for design because we knew he wouldn't hit as hard with only 10 cultists, but was going to hit quite hard with 20. So it's kind of just waiting to become strong once we had the second Darken release. So, and I think as everyone knows, 3 is just too easy. Kane's too automatic. So we're pulling back on that. Uh, the Beetlejuice joke just dates me probably, although I never actually watched the movie.
I've seen Beetlejuice before. I've definitely seen it. It's very good. It's very good.
I don't remember it. I'm familiar with the concept though.
That is fair. That is fair. Okay, let's get into the next one. Okay. This one's really. Do you want to explain this one, Brian?
Yeah, so we tried several directions on Aatrox, and they all kind of seemed to push a little too hard on him. And so the change that we actually made is fixing a bug, which is that his text always said 3+ different Darken, but didn't actually count that. And like you'll be surprised at how much of a difference this makes. It comes up more than you expect that you haven't played different ones. It forces you to kind of like make your deck a little more broad. So we're gonna monitor Aatrox and make sure that this change is enough. But this seemed like the right incremental push for now.
Yeah, one of the things. Okay, I really like that. I get to talk to them pre-show and hear what they're gonna talk about. One of the things that was so cool was you guys mentioning how, like, the goal isn't to get rid, like, completely demolish Aatrox and Kane.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's never to just like delete the top 5 champions. We want to kind of like massage it down to where things can compete with each other. Yeah. I don't know if you have more to say on that.
I think nothing. I think that one of the exciting things for us as a team right now is because we have a lot more opportunities to make changes. We can go for some slightly smaller changes, watch what happens, and then like adjust again. Because we have a very heavy cadence coming up for balance patch. So I think we don't. It's never our goal to dictate to the players what they should be playing. And if we hit some of these things too hard, we'll just boot them completely from the game, which is not, that's not ideal. There are people who love playing this, and we can kind of see by the play rate. So I think we want to bring it down because it's probably a little too strong, but we don't, we don't want to kick it.
There's some people in chat that are calling for the death of the Darken.
No.
They've been traumatized by Aatrox. There's actually a really good question in here.
Mm-hmm.
When we say different, is summoning Aegis and summoning Joral considered 2 different Darken, or is it the same because it's essentially just Joral inhabiting the Aegis?
They're considered the same card. In general, if a card has 2 different choices, we still consider it the same card, and that's true for Zoe and other cards that'll count X different things.
Okay, cool. So just to reiterate, if you summon both Aegis onto a champion or a character or unit, and then Joral, it would only count as 1 Darken. Okay, cool. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, cool. Let's get on to the next one. All right, Plink, you want to talk about the great gospel of Nagakoboros?
So this is just a preview. We're actually buffing Alawi in this patch, so this was a really hard choice to make. Like we're going to nerf a card that goes in, but the problem with like not just this card, but a lot of Alawi's cards is they were better. They're great in every deck, and this card is certainly one of the most played and one of the strongest cards in our game. It shows up both in control, it shows up in aggro, it shows up in mid-range, it shows up everywhere because getting a unit at burst speed and drawing 2 cards is just a tasty package. Okay, so we're trying to take away some of the burst blocking ability here while still leaving it intact for Alawi's own dreams, which is usually to have the tentacle when you're rolling out and attacking with Alawi. So we try to kind of hit and also not destroy the card. So that's the dream here, is kind of leave her dream intact while kind of taking away some of the excess use. And that's sort of the narrowing joke here, really, because we don't want this to be in every Bilgewater deck, basically.
Yeah.
We want to make it a little more tentacle specific.
Yeah, in general, like burst speed blocking is a pattern that we try to avoid or at least cost appropriately, and I think like being attached to draw 2 just made this like clearly over. So I really like this fix.
Yeah, there's some people that are very worried for Alawi in chat, but I want to reassure you guys. Wait until we get to the end.
It's coming. Alawi buffs.
Yeah, that way then you can tell us how you feel about all the changes.
Yes, please let the slide deck complete.
So let's go ahead and let's talk about Jinx. Do you want to talk about Jinx, Ryan?
Jinx. Yes. Jinx just like rocketed up into the meta, excuse the pun. But yeah, this I think I might have a little more context on here. The bit that was important to me is for the longest time I noticed that Nexus was lowercase, and so I made him change it to uppercase when he implemented this fix, so that we're consistent across all of Runeterra. But no, yeah, taking out one of the Nexus damage will, especially because she creates the rocket on level up now, it'll just give your opponent a little more time to kind of like get their footing and possibly turn it around.
It was literally unplayable when it was lowercase, but
It was.
I'm glad that you fixed it. Plink, do you have anything to add about this adjustment to Jinx? Any more context or hopes and dreams?
No, I think we we were a little worried when we made that fix to Jinx that she was going to be a little over. She was, I think, pretty clearly a little over. So this is like a lot of times with this. I think I feel safe with this fix mainly just because we kind of know Jinx is a little too strong even for a champion. So even if this is like a change for now, but it's also a change for in the future. You know, if we introduce more discard mechanics or anything like that, she'll not just dominate. So that's the main thing.
Cool, sounds good. All right, now that we're on the topic of Jinx, let's tackle one of the other staples of Jinx's favorite deck right now.
Yeah, it's funny because there were multiple, like when Iceborne Legacy was a real terror, I remember there have been multiple times where I've just like locked in on Porokin and been like, this is the problem. Like giving people 2 Daring Poros for 0 and a discard it's just a little too much. But I know that this change is particularly harsh in practice as small as it looks. What do you think, David?
I mean, I think there's no card has escaped the nerf bat as many times as Poro Cannon.
Yeah.
I mean, it has been on the cutting block. Y'all just can't believe like how many times. And then when it's just, it has some defenders who I won't name. So that's part of that's part of what's going on. But also, I think it does change it a lot, and it is such a But I think its time has come. I think we elusive onslaught is maybe not everyone's favorite play against experience. So I think it's a good time. If you want your Poros, you can pay 1. It's like eggs.
Okay, this has been a hot topic. There's people that really love it, and people that are really heartbroken. So we'll see how it pans out. Let's move on to buffs because people are really excited
Yay.
for buffs.
As we promised, not a fake out slide, I promise.
Okay, how are we buffing Alawi? Do you wanna take this, Blink?
Yeah, so the first is a pretty mild change, although she becomes a pretty nice stat line for 4, especially given that her power grows when she attacks most of the time. As you'll notice, though, there's a kind of recurring theme on these slides that actually the quietest nerf is also above here. But I think we're pretty confident testing that this is a nice improvement and shouldn't be overbearing. So it's a small upgrade. A lot of small upgrades.
Yeah, I think in particular, like anything that used to be in quietest range that isn't, we did kind of like play a little more conservatively with, because if quietest can no longer hate it out of the meta, then we just want to make sure we don't accidentally unleash a beast, basically.
I think there's some Alawi mains out there that wouldn't mind if you unleash the beast.
Go right ahead. Yeah, speaking of unleashing the beast, this Nagaka Boros change, it just plays so much more nicely. It's I would say close to a quality of life because it is still an 8-drop, but it is so much nicer that if you have your tentacle up to 10 and you drop it, like, go ahead, you've earned it at that point. very satisfying.
I have a confession to make. I played a bunch of like Bard Alawi when it was meta, and I actually didn't know that Nagakaboros was a card because I just started around them, and I never saw Nagakaboros in play. So when I saw this change, I was like, "This is so cool!"
Yeah, it's a really cool card. So yeah, hopefully it'll see a little more action.
Yes. All right, cool. And then there's one more piece to the puzzle.
Yeah, this is probably the biggest change, is putting Tentacle Smash back in the environment mode. Um, so, yeah, this is the biggest of the three changes. Hopefully, we'll, because of the Spawn 2, it'll stay primarily an Alawi card. We don't care if it leaks out a little, but we don't want it to be like a mainline Bilgewater tool. So we'll keep an eye on it, but it definitely feels nice to smash for three.
All right. Let's get into the forge buffs. I know there's been a lot of talk, like people wanting to be able to, cook up some weapons with Ornn. So let's see how he's getting adjusted.
Yeah, I was seeing very specific calls for Ornn buffs, so I was glad that we were sitting on some. Relatively simple, +1/+1. One of the really nice things about this is it means that as long as the equipment that you pick has 1 power, then in one swing he'll have 8 power and be able to level himself up. So it makes him easier to level up, get to the cool side of Ornn 2. You had more context on this, Blink?
This is a pretty mild change, but we think that it should uh, at least help. I mean, he was probably a little too small for a 7 drop, so we wanted him to really have board impact when he hit. So that's the main thing. Probably Forge, Ornn in his package will probably just keep sort of trying to massage up um, as time goes on.
Yeah. I also want to give a shout out to our 2022 world champion Aragorn. And I'm hoping to steal some of his Ornn decks, see if this lands in a good place in the meta, see if he plays it a little bit.
Yeah, there's more Forge buffs coming. So
Yeah, let's get to it.
Yeah, David, do you remember more of? Because I remember Frank was talking about some of these changes.
So like basically these cards were always under. I think pretty deeply under. We were a little overcautious when we released Forge, because it had such a when you're stacking the right equipment, it had such a chance to be a bit of a snowball. Uh, so we were very cautious, and I think overly cautious because these cards don't even feel all that great in a Forge deck, much less anywhere else. So in some ways, part of the idea with this change is to give Freljord some tools that might play outside of Forge some, but certainly to sort of lift up this whole package as a group. That's the idea.
Yeah,
Make them more playable.
not just tools, but like we want to be comfortable with like Freljord having well statted units that regardless of the text on the board, they can also kind of like hold their own. So this is a move toward that.
Awesome. Let's see the last Forge buff.
This was probably my favorite pun.
Wait, I didn't read. No, chat. Oh God.
Oh god. Okay, I can't look at chat. Yeah. So to cover the change, so he was a 5-cost 5/5, and we've reduced his power by 1 and allowed him to forge twice, which it feels better for an equipment centric deck to play in the forge space and be able to increase the power of equipment as they should, rather than just play a beefy unit. So yeah,
it's more of a tool now. I really like this. Played really well, and when we were testing it out, I was really happy with this change. Hopefully we'll see some action.
Nice. All right, let's move on to some minor champion upgrades. All right, let's see who's first. Okay, Maokai, Plink, tell us about the great words of our tree lord Maokai.
This is a pretty small upgrade to Maokai. He does get out of Quietus range, which I said is a recurring theme. He was in it without the buff. Well, no, he wasn't. He was in it against the Quietus at 5. So, but I think the idea is really just to let him enter combat at all in a meaningful way. Like one power he really couldn't ever like like take even like a one drop or like or a two drop out like.
Yeah.
So this is really just to let him be a little more active. He's not going to obviously overwhelm your opponent with damage, but it lets him enter combat a little bit more interestingly.
Yeah, it's just a more reasonable shape for him. It also made Riot 3 Greg very happy because he's a Maokai main.
Oh man, if
Just
y'all
a
haven't
bonus.
seen Riot Greg, he did a really cool YouTube short. So check out the YouTube channel, shameless plug. All right, let's get to the next one. Oh, I'm very excited for this one.
Yeah, this is just Jax is the master fighter, weapon master of all weapons. He should be able to equip other weapons and not lose any sort of capability. So this is also close to it is basically just a quality of life change, but it is nice to be able to put whatever you want on Jax and have him kick ass with it.
Yeah, imagine if he had a real weapon.
Exactly. You can't. You imagine no longer.
Oh man. Someone in chat said Jax is the real weapon. I agree, Aziria, otherwise. Jax is the real weapon. Okay, cool. Let's see the next change.
This is actually the more exciting Jax change, and it's something that like a lot of people have been asking for, is to expand his slice, which was I think felt to be too narrow. So we Fish Fight gives Jax some native interaction, which is pretty cool. Rorikeith is also another tool, so both these cards getting Weapon Master is probably a bigger improvement than his L2 change. That was just a quality of life thing. This will substantially open up a little Jax action, I think.
People are so happy about this. This is one of the changes that universally everyone's really, really, really on board with. We actually got a really good question in the middle of this onslaught. Let me see. I am so sorry. I lost your name. Okay, wait. It's Greasy Butterfly. So with the Jax change, will Light of Ikathia still have Overwhelm as well?
Yes. Yeah. So in effect, if he has Light of Ikathia on him, it's a little bit redundant, but this allows you to move Light of Ikathia onto something else and move a different weapon onto him.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Good to know. And then Tristana. All right. Do you want to talk about this, Brian?
Yeah. This change was interesting because Tristana has a fairly low play rate.
The lowest play rate.
The lowest. Yeah, sorry for underselling that. But there is some power in her kit, and it's not it's so close to where we want it that we kind of want to just give her a little bit and see if the attention that ensues kind of like causes people to create some new brews with her and really like pushes up her play rate to about the power level that we expect, because sometimes the champ just needs some attention actually.
As the resident patch note writer, I have noticed that there's been a lot of like small incremental like Bandle City buffs happening over the past like half a year. Like, do you think those will really play into? Do you think there's all of a sudden going to be? Do you think this change will kind of like push it into the spotlight, or?
I'm a little scared of it being pushed into the spotlight because I think it being in the spotlight was the reason we had to shove it out of the spotlight. So we kind of wanted to gently ease it into whatever a slightly smaller spotlight is.
Maybe like in the wings of the stage.
Yeah,
like, not
yeah,
on stage, but like
supporting cast member Bandle City.
Okay,
not
okay.
star Bandle City.
The problem is Yordles are jerks, Julian.
Yeah.
I feel like when you're immortal,
no one really wants them. You get pranked. It's just like all kinds of negative stuff happens to you.
I want to pick your brain. Someone asked earlier in chat. We'll move on soon, but some people were curious. Like, was there like a design decision to not have Weapon Master on these cards in the beginning? Was there like a fear of it being too powerful, or like, could you give some context into maybe like why we're making that change now?
So it was really just a symmetry thing. A lot of the Weapon Masters were a lot of these like cards that were split between two regions. Like a very small package. And if you notice, both these are just Demacia cards actually. So we didn't add another double typed card to this. So basically the original list was just kind of symmetry for doing a bunch of two region cards. But I think that like we learned a lot about Runeterans over time and sort of what people wanted. And so having like richer slices is like kind of definitely our goal going forward. But we want to kind of keep pushing on some of the older ones till their card slice feels feels better. And so this is what this is. So
Yeah,
we lose the symmetry.
there's a balance of like wanting to give you a clear second region to go to with your
Mm-hmm.
Runeterran champ, but also not wanting to gut the Runeterran champ itself so much that it feels like you have to go to that region or else it's unplayable. And so this pushes it back into the former, where hopefully you get a little more flexibility and can make some more interesting choices.
Cool. Cool. Love to hear it. Okay, let's continue on. Okay, we had Tristana, and then the next one is Rise. Oh man, Plink, do you want to talk about Rise? Want to talk about this change?
Yeah, we'll just be honest. The devs are scared of Rise. Everyone's scared of Rise. This change is not and it's not partially because as when you add cards like and we have another expansion when the expansion Brian's leading comes out. When you add cards, you're adding a lot of power to Rise. We know that there's some things coming for Rise, right? So getting comboed out is a little, alternate win conditions can be a little nerve-wracking depending on how they play out. We've seen this with Banal Tree and some other things, with Fiora when she was like oppressive. So there's a lot of nerves, but on the other hand, we do know that Rise needs some love. This might be too much love, but you all can decide. Our John Mormon, our sort of resident Rise expert, he took Rise to Master, which is a heroic act in the previous form. I know he was a little concerned, but he might be like the best Rise player, so I don't know. Um, uh, yeah, so I think this is like instead of going from 2, it's 3. It's at least when you can refill that much, it's bigger than you might think. What's happening here? Hopefully, it's not too much.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
We'll see. I think this is going to be a really interesting one. This one is also very very divisive in chat. So we'll see. Let's continue the hype train. Let's see what else.
Yeah, so this is a fairly simple change. It's Shadow Shift is one of those cards that it just doesn't see any play. But it does occasionally come up because Zed is quite a popular champ. So this was a bit of a no-brainer. I think we locked this one really quickly. It's an interesting card, so at 2 cost, it feels satisfying to play and about the right power level for the current meta.
Cool. People are saying, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
That was our opinion. Sure, why not? Sometimes that's how buffs be.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Okay. This one's interesting. Lysandra, Plink, do you want to talk about about this?
I'll try to overcome my fear about buffing thralls, but yeah. So the thralls change was needed. I think the thralls was a little oppressive, but we thought it kind of took a little bit too much away from Lysandra herself. So we tried to bring back some excitement for Lysandra within the Thralls package, even while we didn't, rechange the countdown back to 8 or something like that. So I think this is a way of Lysandra gets a nice discount for being the champion on the idea. So you feel very good playing her, but we're not trying to return Thralls to prominence particularly. So that's the basic idea here.
So we have a question in chat, and I think I know the answer, but let's just clarify. The Frozen Thrall that's advanced by 2, is it just the Thrall that Lysandra summons, or is it all on board? Okay.
It is just that single Thrall.
Only that
advanced.
single Thrall. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Oh, this is an interesting one. If her Thrall gets obliterated, will she automatically advance another Thrall, or will the obliteration just...
If her Thrall gets obliterated?
Yes. Like, as it's summoned, obliterated...
Oh, there wasn't enough room for it?
Yeah.
No, the advancement targets that specific Thrall. So if that Thrall gets obliterated, you won't get anything out of it.
Okay. Cool. Yep, from the full board. All right. Good to know. And this is I'm happy about this. So I am an unabashed. So I really like playing Vayne, Viego, and the third one is Master Yi. Nice. I am that person. So I'm excited to be able to play Master Yi more in lore. So Brian, do you want to talk about Yi's adjustment a little bit?
Yeah. So you're actually going to see a similar change to this later down the line, but. sometimes these I've seen quests can make it feel really frustrating to draw them late in the game, and especially with a cheaper champ like he, that can like basically just kind of cost you the game. Um, so making any sort of attempt at his quest and actually getting to keep that progress just feels a lot better when the second E comes up, turn 6, 7, 8. So yeah, this is more of it's definitely a buff, but it's much more like satisfaction and like quality of life. It just makes you feel a lot better to play.
Awesome. That sounds good to me. Um, oh man, this is just a random tidbit, but when I was first starting, it was very. I forgot who it was that told me the difference between like the deck quests and all the other quests. I'm trying to remember who I was playing. I think it might have been Jin, and I was very confused as a new player. I was like, wait, who is advancing on board? Who's advancing in deck? But I'm personally excited for this. But yeah, anyway, let's move on. Plink, do you want to talk about Shyvana?
Yeah, so Savannah is also going to a deck quest. So I think this is the point's really the same as Brian's. Like drawing Shyvana late and having to make sure that you got the right attack in before she leveled, kind of weakened the card in a way that I think reduced some of the satisfaction. So now if you draw Shyvana late, but you've been attacking with dragons, so you're running a dragon deck, she's going to hit the board running, and you'll be able to live that dream right away. And that's basically the idea. You just pay that player off.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. Her quest did go up. I don't think I noted that, but her. Oh, the other thing is we have a slight discount on Strafing Strike also when she plays it. So now it costs 2 when she generates it. So it's a little bit more playable.
Yeah, people are noting that. So I'm trying to remember how much more the 16 is. When you were playtesting this, did you generally see the level up happening like around the same time, or was it even a little bit sooner, even with the adjustment to 16?
It kind of depends. If you were leveling up using Shyvana, it's going to be slower, but because if you hit with any dragon, it'll be faster. Basically. So it is probably on balance just slightly faster, but it's there will be games where it's slower. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I think it was 14. At 14, she's like always leveled. So we had to move it back a little. That's just a testing thing, really.
So I'm gonna actually shoot this over to you, Brian. Some people in chat are asking like, what is a deck quest? Could you give like some other examples, or kind of just distill it to like explain to me like on 5 terms?
Yeah, so I think it's easiest to explain with the opposite, which is what we call an I've seen quest. And so if a champion has to be on the board when you're filling its conditional out. So, for example, with the old Shyvana, she had to be on board seeing the dragons hit. And the shift to a deck quest means she no longer has to do that. So she can come down long after the dragons have hit and still know, oh, they've dealt 16 damage. So
Cool. Yeah, awesome. What's up next? We have champion discount bin. Oh my gosh. Okay, someone in chat was just saying, where are my Kale buffs? So let's talk about it.
here they are.
Oh man. So Plink, how did we this feels there's kind of like a lot of stuff happening here. What were the ideas behind this change?
So I normally don't read my comments, but this one's not even a joke. Like the difference between 5 and 6 mana is vast, really, for what you kind of need to get as a 6 mana champ and what you can get as a 5 mana champ. And honestly, maybe I'll let Brian talk about this. Kale was more his baby than me. I mean, this just plays well. But anyway, go. Maybe this was
Yeah.
your card.
It's definitely a lot more effective. She really hits the ground running now. But when I was working on Kale in development, one of her goals was to try to be an expensive game ender. And I think releasing in the same set as like next to Aatrox and like Aatrox and the Darken kind of fill that already, and so this actually freed up Kale to kind of like move around a little bit, become a little like more of a mid-game champ. So yeah, we felt pretty safe taking 1 cost off of her. So we dropped her power by 1 and her health by 1, but we gave her the power back because when she's played, she now buffs herself. And that's a quality of life change because there were instances where maybe Kale was somehow the first card that you played, and you hadn't attacked with any other buffed units. Kale couldn't buff herself. And so this allows her to get her own kind of snowball rolling. So it's just a nice quality of life change.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited to try it out. I have to admit, I haven't tried much kale. I was I was one of the degenerates on ladder spamming Cane Aatrox, so so hopefully I can try out kale now.
Yeah, she also dodges Quietus. It's great.
Yeah, and then we have one more. Oh, you two were talking about this one quite a lot.
Yeah. This one is very interesting. My last memory of it is I think Riot Vrist just like completely blew me out turn 3 with it. This is an interesting change. Lucian was kind of like he'd really fallen off in terms of play rate. So this should like it's not a complete buff because we dropped his stats as well, but it should kind of like bring the light back to him again. We're excited to see what happens.
I want to know, what does chat look like?
I know. I'm worried.
People are screaming, WTF, stop cooking. What? Some people are just spamming letters. People are saying, Lucian Azir, Lucian Kennen,
Oh,
Lucian
no.
Senna. No. Quietus, question mark. Yeah, people are saying insane, Riven. Yeah, this definitely made chat. People said overcooked.
I think this was for last for a reason. Yeah, it's a very spicy game.
Oh man,
We're gonna keep our eye on it for sure.
we'll see.
He's in Quietus range now. It's fine.
People are saying this is insane, but I kind of love to read that. You know.
Yeah.
Some people are saying scariest change.
To reiterate what David was saying earlier, we do feel more comfortable pushing some of these changes that scare us a little bit because we know we are able to revisit the game and the balance more often this year. So, yeah, excited to see what y'all cook with this.
Yeah. All right, next. Here are some of our random buffs. All right, Flink. Once again, having written patch notes, hate spike has been we've been rubber banding on it. Where did we land this time?
It just got more damage. I think like it was obviously too strong at 1 for what it was doing. At 2, it sort of underperforms. We could have put this as an Evelyn buff, but really we're looking for trying to get a really nice whole package together for Evelyn before we roll that out, and we have tried. So we're still that is still in the shop. But so it's not. It's an Evelyn buff if you want it to be, but it's really just a nice interaction tool for SI. It improves the card to I think a more playable state. Basically, it was I think a little under at 2 damage.
Yeah, people seem pretty happy for this. Some people are big Evelyn fans in chat, but we'll gloss over that. And this one, Weight of Judgment.
Yeah, so these kind of cards where they have 2 different options but the same cost are always a little difficult to land correctly because that cost has to be shared between the 2 effects. And I think Weight of Judgment was an example of like kind of a failure of that because I wish we could get the stats on it, but who was paying 4 mana to deal 2 to a champion at slow speed? So hopefully this kind of change brings both of the options closer to reasonable. It's still like expensive for the champion side, but you might find yourself like occasionally picking it this time, as opposed to never picking it before.
Mm-hmm. There's this one is probably the least popular change in chat so far.
Wow.
Some people are worried about maybe like Path of Champions implications in like Narcissus. But yeah, I think this is definitely something that we can keep an eye on. People are wondering like, is it far enough? So
yeah, I mean, looking at this myself, I'm not sure. These cards are difficult to kind of land the target on. I do think this is closer though.
I think 4 damage is like a sweet spot for certain types of removal. Like so that's sort of basically yeah. So that's our reasoning. But we can always touch it again
Mm-hmm.
if needed.
Mm-hmm.
Someone was asking if I was looking at chat, and yes, yes. I think your name was Tanak. Tanak. I'm not sure. It's going. Tanak 4. We're looking at chat. I can see you. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Dragon Caller. One less cost.
Yeah. We were trying a few things with this one, and we actually tried not round start flow, so you could get the Empyrean immediately, and that was very nutty. So this feels a lot more reasonable for what it is. Hopefully, lets him live his dream a little more often, because I think I personally designed this card, so I would love for it to get a little just get a little more visibility.
A lot of people are saying this is crazy. They're having the opposite reaction to the Nasus. They're like, oh no, this might be really, really good.
It was
They're
way too
scared.
good when it was immediate. It's still on round start, so your opponent will get a chance to respond. So it feels fairly fair.
Cool. Let's see where it lands. All right, let's see the last one.
Yeah, this one kind of came out of nowhere. I think David has more context on this one.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure who suggested it, but he basically Alba's. He made some early J stacks, but never was uh, like in any of the recent builds hasn't played that much of a role despite pulling Jace. So we kind of just wanted to put it like give that deck another tool, like make it so it's a little bit better to play him. So he just does a little bit more damage now. We increase the base. Yeah, I think that's really it. It's in some ways it's sort of similar to the Nagakaboros change, where we wanted to these cards are supposed to be sort of high end finishers that when you play them you're excited and they have really good utility. Because you had to include them in the deck and risk all the variation of having a really expensive card in your hand. So putting it, giving this, making this worth 7 basically is what we're after.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. We are all here for it. And last but not least, we have the new cards. I'm sure. I wonder if people have been. Were people theorizing what the new cards could be? Let's see.
Oh,
Let's
I'd love to see those guesses.
Oh my gosh. I'm curious if they can guess what. Here, let's see if they can guess the region. Do you guys want to try to guess a region? I actually don't remember the region.
This makes me want to do like a slow reveal.
A slow reveal?
It's just like slowly pan down.
One pixel at
show
a
them
time.
the cost and the region and then the art.
All right,
That'd be fun.
Let's get into it. Okay. Oh, Shadow Isles. Okay. So yeah, who wants to talk about this?
Yeah, Soul Cleave. So yeah, we had this piece of art, and I kind of had the goal of like, can we turn this into something that you might want, like something that'll generate some deck building ideas? And we messed around with a few options, and this is the one that just had like such interesting utility to go alongside it. It's at slow, it's still very interactable, but there's a lot of options you can do with it. It's not restricted to followers, so you can get 2 ephemeral copies of a champion. Playing it on a shark chariot is particularly brutal. Yeah, and probably a bunch of stuff that I haven't thought of before. So I'm really excited to see what people do with it.
I think that's one of the most exciting things with like pushing these changes out there is like in 24 hours seeing the crazy decks that people cook up and you're like, oh wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That one's for builders right there. That one's for deck builders for sure.
Cool. Let's get into the last one. All right. Take it away,
This
Blake.
is a pretty crazy card. I think this is more of an environment check than necessarily like something that's going to make a ton of decks. Although it is a little pretty with Nasus, just to let you know. But so we wanted to just add some tools to the environment in case certain type of archetypes, especially championless archetypes, were oppressive. So this is that.
I think this is also one where I mean, that piece of art is just so cool. And so we had tried a few options that were maybe like, buffs or in that area, but like really this thing demanded something grand. So I'm really glad it ended up as like a pretty expensive spell that really captures the board.
Yeah, it looks so cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, cool. So that is the bulk of our changes. Then we have
Yeah.
something new this time that we haven't really done in in a previous patch. And I know that Brian really took the lead of doing some Path of Champion changes. And I'm sure people are interested about this. So let's just dive right into it.
Yeah. So we just like found an opportunity to do this alongside the PvP card changes, and so I kind of like surveyed around a few changes, and we picked the most exciting ones and moved forward with it. So particularly wanted to hit some of the relics that like a lot of people have collected maybe from event passes, and they just like didn't quite hit that excitement bar. So revisiting Hymn of Valor and having its redoubled valor be halved in cost was a joke I made a lot, but yeah, it feels a lot better to cast it when it comes up. And the same with Guardian Angel. It used to only give that +1 revive, so giving it some actual text feels a lot better when you put it on a champion. And then we added a new relic. Yeah, this one gained a lot of excitement when I was circulating the sheet of options. And yeah, it takes a little bit to get to 6 mana gems, but once you do, oh boy, it just is print and spells. So that's a really fun one.
I see a bunch of people asking to fix Nasus. So it's coming.
Yes.
Great news, everybody. The very next patch, Nasus level 3 will be it's going to be fixed. It's going to be in the next patch. So keep your eyes out. It is coming. Yes, it is. It is fixed. Next patch, it will be here. Cool. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other buffs we have cooking.
Yeah, so we also visited some of the items in the powers. These were nice because they were like particularly simple for us to change. So Spirit Stone dropping in rarity. Sometimes we adjust the rarity because we want to make sure that the rarity that it appears at makes it an interesting choice next to other items. So Spirit Stone dropping down to rare feels more appropriate, as well as there's a little context I have to go into here, but when you visit an item shop or an item node, you'll be offered these items, but they'll follow certain internal restrictions for what they'll be offered for. So if you have an item that says like +1 power, it won't be shown when you're on an immobile unit, because that wouldn't make any sense. Right. So Spirit Stone used to be restricted to 6. It wouldn't show for anything that costs 6 or more, which makes sense. You could play a 5-cost unit, get a fleeting one in hand, and play another one. But getting to 10 mana is just such a rare occasion. So we changed its restriction to move it to something that just, even if that was technically possible, this pulls it into something that's happens more often. And so we just wanted Spirit Stone to be more usable. Similar thing with standard star chart. It just didn't really feel like an epic. So bringing it down to common makes it a more interesting choice next to other commons. Radiant Plate Armor, it was a little hard to stomach +2 cost when it was offered to you. So we dropped the buff very slightly, but dropping the cost to just +1 more makes it an option that I think people will consider a lot more often. Cool. And another rarity change with Reset. Shuffling stuff into your deck, it's hard to feel the power of that, especially if you like die before you see them, or you win, even if you just win before you see them. So shuffling stuff into your deck doesn't feel super powerful, and so it feels better to have that kind of effect at common.
Yeah. Cool. Let's keep going. I'm trying to keep an eye if there's any questions about the changes. So if you guys have any questions in chat, feel free to drop them, and I'll try to ask Brian.
Yeah, so nerfs, you might think it's a little strange to do nerfs to a single player, roguelike mode. But in particular, like with Path of Champs and also just like with the PvP game, we want to make sure that you're able to make interesting choices between several options. And Stalker's Blade was a relic that was near ubiquitous. Like, it was so easy to slap on any champion that was just like big. And this change is a shift that makes it so you have to think a little bit more about who it's going on. It's still going to see play on certain champions. We obviously don't want to just kill the relic completely, but hopefully you might consider some different relics for the champs that you're playing with. And with the sticker changes, these are very slight, but stacking stats on small units is a very effective strategy, but it's not a very interesting strategy to do repeatedly. So those items used to be available no matter what the unit cost was, and we moved it so that it won't appear for units that are 0 or 1 cost. Just so the options that are offered for those just have a little more texture to them. You might utilize those cheaper units in a different way. So we're trying to add more interesting choice to the game.
Yeah, some people are asking, kind of as you like progress or level up, some of the base deck will have some like base items on them. Will this still appear in will these items still appear on base deck?
Yes.
units?
So none of the base decks are changed. This is purely when an item is offered to you randomly in a shop or at an item node.
Cool. Okay, cool. All right. Let's see. People are asking a lot of other like high level Path of Champions questions. There's some stuff coming out for Path of Champions, but I don't think we're ready to talk about it yet. But
No, not quite yet.
yeah.
This isn't the end of the path stuff.
Yeah, definitely not the end of the path stuff. In fact, this opportunity came from us kind of like seeing what it would be like to turn more attention towards it, whether this was something that you like to see in a variety patch. So absolutely give us feedback on whether this is interesting to you, whether we should, dedicate a little bit of each variety patch or each occasional variety patch to path stuff. How do you feel about buffs? How do you feel about nerfs? All that feedback is useful. So please let any of us know. Okay. Last slide, the new items. These hopefully speak for themselves, but I'm particularly excited for Poro Fluffed. I think there's a bunch of huge units out there that'll be really fun to drop them down to 1 cost 1/1s. And I especially love that they're still Poros, so they can get buffed by Poro snacks, stuff like that. Norris T is we took those stat buffing items out of the pool for units, but it still feels really good to get like a Norris T on them instead. So those two I think feel particularly good. And then just seeing more of the Emperor's deck is great. Like those are some bonkers cards. Definitely hope to see some clips with that one.
It's really crazy. Like chat, like we have a lot of Poros watching.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I've been saying,
oh wow.
I am
yeah.
a
Look
Poro.
at that.
Yeah, like I didn't realize that we had such a big Poro audience. That's pretty exciting.
It's great to see the Poros come out in droves. They were just looking for representation.
So there will be new champs for Path of Champions, not in this 4.1 patch, but they'll come with the next expansion.
Mm-hmm.
So keep your eyes out for the next expansion. Okay, cool. Wow, we got through all of the changes. Let me go ahead and go back to the first page. I do want to give you guys an update. So I'm not sure if all of you have seen the new videos or like the 2023 article that we put out, but this is a live balance patch. Like we plan on having patches monthly, and the next patch that will be coming is going to be a variety patch, and the variety patch is going to have roughly like a handful of cards. Do we have like a ballpark of like how many-ish cards we're going to have in the variety?
I don't know that we have a ballpark yet, but I know Greg confirmed on Twitter that it's going to be larger than just like the 2 or 3 cards that we've done in the past.
Yeah.
It will be like substantial enough set of cards that it feels like it might change the texture.
Right, but like not a whole expansion. Right?
Not a whole expansion.
Cool.
No, don't think of it as a whole expansion. But,
Cool.
Yeah.
And then as well, there will also be live balances with those as well, right? But it's going to be like really targeted live balances. Like, is the idea that those cards are going to shake up the meta, and then we'll have some balancing to pull levers? Like, it won't be as substantial as this balance patch, right?
I mean, it's going to depend on the
No,
situation.
I don't think so. Yeah, it'll be mostly an adjustment.
Yeah.
Like more of an adjustment. We're just gonna watch what happens here and make some calls. And we sometimes we'll have some things that we weren't able to test well enough before we release this patch. They're kind of in the wings that we kind of want to get in, and we kind of keep testing those, and as they reach fruition, then we we'll add them in when we can. So
Yeah.
there's just stuff like that, like yeah.
Cool.
Evelyn's a really great example of that, where we worked with her a lot and couldn't find something that we felt we could ship in time, and just kind of like pushed it along to the next patch while keeping the hate spike change, because that one we felt pretty comfortable about. So
Some people are asking when the patch goes live. So the